Maya, you talked about before we signed on how hot it is today. It's been a beautiful weekend. I wish I had been able to get out on the water. But the Meteorological Agency has reported that we are indeed headed towards a El Nino, and it could be a super El Nino, which is a combination of factors, the La Nina, which is winding down, and the El Nino that is winding up, is predicted to kind of coalesce in August. So July is expected to be on par with temperatures last year, a little bit higher. September is supposed to be somewhat similar to what it was last year, which was pretty hot. But August is going to be a killer, they are predicting already. Energy costs will be going up. So people who have, older people who really require air conditioning and that sort of thing are going to be suffering. And I think one of the reasons why the prime minister deferred from calling a snap election is if he called the snap election, I think it would have been kind of an acknowledgement that things are going to get bad before they get better. And he couldn't do that. So things are going to get bad before they get better, including the price of products going up, the subsidy for fuel coming down, going back up because the subsidy is going down. And a lot of the things that the prime minister has kind of pushed off, the cost of defense spending, the child care, that sort of thing, the numbers have not really come up. And you've noticed we talk about it, the prime minister being somewhat reluctant to kind of be very expansive about how it's going to be paid for. He's talked about the numbers, how much it's going to cost, but where the money's going to come from, he's been a little bit less descriptive. And that's kind of part of his shtick, because he's really grand on vision, but a little bit weak on providing numbers. And he did that for a purpose. But now with the diet out of session, I think the rooster's going to come back to roost, and these details need to be addressed. The voting population is not going to be very happy about that. But he has had some successes, which I'd like to get into. But in any event, in Maebashi, Gunma Prefecture, in this weekend, they registered a 35.5 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees across Japan just this weekend. 1,843 people have been hospitalized for heat stroke related illness or attacks, and this is double the number from last week. So the week earlier there was a lot of rain, the typhoon had passed through, so you kind of expect that. But this week has been pretty dominant. It looks like we are going to be headed towards that a little bit more aggressively as we move into the summer. In fact, in India, they had 100 people died in the northeast in Bhojpur province, with a record of 45.3 degrees Celsius. So it's not just in Japan, but I think in other parts of Southeast Asia. Vietnam is suffering, Jakarta, Indonesia, India, Sri Lanka. They are all suffering from a heat wave that is going on. They've gotten it earlier than Japan has. And in fact, Japan, although we are in the rainy season, Tsuyu, it came earlier. And it looks like there will be more typhoons this year than there were last year.